news. Well, scores of fires are burning out of control across Australia amid a heat wave which has seen temperatures exceed 40 Celsius in every state. Officials are predicting a day of extreme danger with rising temperatures combined with thunderstorms and a change of wind direction. Let's just have a look at East Gippsland. This is in the state of Victoria. The authorities warning here it's actually too late now for people threatened by bushfires even to get out of the area. 24 hours ago, tens of thousands of residents and tourists were told to leave because the conditions were getting worse. The fires are now encroaching on the major roads. If we have a look in neighbouring New South Wales as well, conditions here expected to deteriorate as the pictures that we've got from the Rural Fire Service help to indicate. 100 fires burning away, more than 40 of them are uncontained. Bryony Soden has this.
An unprecedented step in unprecedented bushfire conditions. As emergency-level blazes flare across Victoria State, tens of thousands of holidaymakers are told to get out.
This is a high-risk day for Victoria. This is a day we do not often see. Our state is dry, it is going to be very hot, it is going to be very, very windy. People, get out now. If you don't, you've got to stay across the conditions and listen to those warnings through the day.
Temperatures above 40 degrees and changes in wind direction are pushing destructive bushfires closer to towns and homes in already dry tinderbox conditions. Victorian authorities are most concerned about two out-of-control bushfires, which have merged in popular tourist spot, East Gippsland. The blaze is within a few kilometres of the only highway into and out of the area, and there are fears that road could be cut off.
It's hot and windy and there's a lot of smoke about and a lot of fires still going, so I'm best off camping down here until it's all over, I think.
So we will prefer to be safe, and if we got stuck here it will be a big problem for us.
A warm front has pushed mercury levels above 40 across southeastern Australia, with fire warnings stretching from West to South Australia and into Tasmania. The biggest blazes are raging in New South Wales, where two mega blazes have now encircled the country's most populated city, Sydney. In the Blue Mountains, flames up to 40 metres high tore through Bilpin, leaving a trail of devastation.
It had escaped from the fire, thankfully it wasn't burnt.
The bushfires have had catastrophic impact on wildlife and their habitat. Some experts estimate up to 500 million animals may have perished in the flames.
All four paws are burnt. Her nose has been burnt, her ears are both burnt. All of that I'm okay with. I mean, I'm sure she's not okay, but she's on pain meds, so she's okay with it. My biggest concern is the eyes. This eye closest to me, her right eye, looks like it certainly got smoke damage.
In New South Wales, the warm weather is forecast to peak on New Year's Eve, with some relief expected on Wednesday. Bryony Soden, BBC News.
Well, the focus around different states can switch, if not hour by hour, certainly day by day. And I'm joined now by Andrew Stark, who's the Deputy Chief Officer of the South Australia Country Fire Service. Thanks very much indeed for sparing some time for us. What is your concern about the next period, the next day or two?
Yeah, certainly our largest concern down here in South Australia is a number of fires that are occurring on Kangaroo Island, which is just a short distance off the coast near our capital city, Adelaide. We've got two very large fires there that are continuing to threaten lives and property this evening, but we've had over 154 fires across South Australia today, and our crews have worked very hard under these extreme fire conditions, temperatures over 40 degrees, winds at times gusting over 50 kilometres an hour. It's been very difficult conditions, but people have worked very hard.
Well, and they've been working hard, Andrew, haven't they, for it seems like forever, I guess, for your staff. How do they cope with that? How do you manage that sort of issue?
Oh, yes, look, this has been a very long season already. Our firefighters commenced in August assisting into Queensland and to New South Wales. And we now find ourselves in the middle of the fire season here in South Australia, and until we get some relieving rain across southeast Australia, we'd expect these conditions to continue for many months. So it's certainly gone beyond a marathon. We're now in an ultra marathon in terms of firefighting across southeast Australia this summer.
And what do you say, Andrew, to those who, when told to get out, prefer to stay and sort of fight for their properties, as it were? What is your message to them?
Look, under some forecast, under some conditions, people who have a plan and have well prepared their property can stay and defend those properties. But certainly when we see catastrophic fire conditions like we've seen across South Australia and into Victoria today and into New South Wales tomorrow, that the safest place to be is not in an area that's bushfire prone, to be well away from those areas. And we've seen people responding to that messaging right across South Australia and Victoria, and we do expect to see people moving out of high risk areas in New South Wales tomorrow.
Very briefly, I mean, the pictures we've never seen the like of. I think they're better than we've had before in terms of access to the fires. Have you ever seen conditions as bad as this before?
Oh, look, it's always very hard to judge, one season to another, and Australia's had some very challenging fire seasons, and indeed in my career I've seen some very challenging fires, but our firefighters right across our state are doing a tremendous job under really challenging and really at times very dangerous conditions. So we're pleased with the way the community has responded to our advice and our messaging, but as I said, summer's got a long way to go here.
Yeah, clearly. Well, Andrew, thanks very much. Andrew Stark from South Australia Country Fire Service, and best of luck to you. Thank you.
Australian authorities estimate around 4,000 people are trapped on a beach in Malakuta by a fast-moving fire. Residents of this resort town in the state of Victoria say the smoke was so thick it blocked out the sun and turned the morning sky pitch black. Bushfires continue to burn across the country, but Victoria and New South Wales have been the hardest hit. So let's turn to Simon Cullen, who joins us now from Bowral in New South Wales. Good to see you, Simon. So what's the situation there right now and across that state?
Hi, Rosemary. Well, this is a bushfire crisis that continues to get worse each day. As you can see behind me, there is thick smoke in the air. The nearest fire is just a few kilometres away behind me in that over that mountain, and there's actually ash particles falling from the sky. But in the other direction, there is an even bigger fire that is burning out of control. It's in that fire where, tragically today, 2 people are confirmed to have died. A third person is missing, presumed dead, according to authorities. And this is in addition to a firefighter who tragically lost his life yesterday when the truck he was in rolled over and he was killed. Now, Rosemary, there are dozens of fires continuing to burn out of control. Major roads have been cut. It is now too late to leave for so many people. And as the New South Wales Fire Commissioner today said, this is the worst bushfire crisis on record. So it's a very serious situation facing many communities on New Year's Eve.
And Simon, another big concern right now is for the 4,000 people trapped on a beach in the resort town of Malakuta. That is in the state of Victoria, to the south of where you are. What more are you learning about that situation?
So essentially what's happened there is the cool change that came through last night brought with it some really strong, unpredictable winds. That has fanned the flames, and those fires have moved so quickly that it's too late for many people to leave along those seaside communities. Roads have been cut, so authorities are now urging people to seek shelter where they are, but many people have actually gone down to the shoreline, some people even taking to the water to escape the fire front as it comes through. Now, there are firefighters in each of those towns. Basically, there's not much they can do at this stage apart from watch and wait, see what happens with that fire front. An incredibly scary situation. We've seen images of the sky red, turning black at some stages because the smoke is just so thick. And so at this stage, they are just waiting to see what happens. The authorities in Victoria are certainly saying that if it becomes necessary, they will do evacuations by sea. So that is something that's quite unprecedented in this Australian bushfire season.
It is just extraordinary. I mean, for you as an Australian, for me as an Australian, seeing many of these cities and towns unrecognisable. We've visited them and I look at these pictures, I can't believe it. Simon Cullen reporting there from Bowral in New South Wales. Many thanks to you. Let's turn now to our meteorologist, Ivan Cabrera. He joins us with more. And Ivan, as I said, parts of Australia unrecognisable in the wake of these ferocious fires that come, of course, after years of drought across the country. And that is the problem, along with climate change. It's simply heartbreaking. We heard from Simon about these cooler temperatures, but of course, with them, they bring the wind, right? So what's the forecast that you see?
Well, that's the problem. And in fact, it's almost like you would prefer to have the warmer temperatures and the winds die off, if you ask any firefighter, because you control the fire. It's hot, but it's not erratic. It's not taking a life of its own. You can predict where it's going, and they can set up fire lines and attack it that way. But when you have a wind shift of 180 degrees, that is a big problem. And then, of course, the fires create their own weather, as we've been talking about here, so you can have wind gusts coming in all sorts of directions. That's what we've been having to deal with here. 115 active fires, 49 uncontained. These numbers just continue to be just quite problematic, and this is a fascinating radar perspective. I mean, you would think that that's rain. No, the radar beam is hitting ash. It's hitting particulates in the air out of the fires, and the reason you could tell that is happening is you get this feature here, and then you just see the smoke just continuing coming from the same direction, the radar beam picking up on that. Same here. There's another fire. I mean, I can tell you exactly where these are here as they continue to move in. Now, this, what you see here, that boundary, that is the wind shift. That is a boundary that has come in and has provided us with cooler temperatures, but it's also allowed for the winds to be gusty again. 60-kilometer-per-hour winds plus is just coming from the south at this point here. So, yes, we have a cool front moving through. 21 Melbourne, 23 in Adelaide. When I was here with you yesterday at this time, we were talking about temperatures there in the mid and upper 30s. So this is an improvement as far as the highs and as far as the amount of heat that we're talking about here. But look at this anemic forecast radar. I mean, there's just nothing there. And I've gone ahead and put this in motion for 5 days, and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about here. As far as the winds, there they are, 30, 40, 60-kilometer-per-hour winds. And you think that they wane, but what happens is at night they do subside somewhat, but then during the afternoon, as we call mixing, right, we get the sunshine out there and the difference in temperatures in the water, and the winds begin to really start blowing again. Next 5 days, this is how much rain we're talking about here. Almost nothing. I mean, just a shower or two across the region. What we need is rain. What we need is less wind. We're not going to get either, unfortunately, for the extended period here, Rosemary. It's going to be a tough go here next few days. The containment will continue to be quite low.
We'll watch it very closely. Ivan Cabrera, many thanks to you for bringing us all those details. Appreciate it.